This is not a movie, not a novel, and definitely not a game. A pizza delivery guy walks into a bank with a bomb strapped around his neck. He says he's been forced to rob the place or die. Within minutes, he's surrounded by police, handcuffed, and then it happens. The explosion. On live TV, but what the police would soon uncover wasn't just a robbery. It was one of the most bizarre, twisted, and haunting crimes in American history. This is the case of the Pizza Bomber Heist, a true crime with a twist so wild even the FBI was left stunned. It was August 28, 2003, in Erie, Pennsylvania. Just before 2 p.m., Brian Wells, a 46-year-old pizza delivery man, walked into PNC Bank. He was calm, composed, wearing a white t-shirt and a metal collar locked around his neck. Attached to it was a device, a bomb. In his hand was a walking cane shaped like a gun. In his pocket, a note. He handed the teller a demand for $250,000, explaining that he had been forced to do this, that he was being watched, that if he didn't complete a series of tasks in a short amount of time, the bomb would detonate. The teller gave him a small amount of cash, far less than he demanded. Brian walked out, seemingly confused, and was arrested minutes later in a nearby parking lot. He begged the police, told them the bomb was real, that he didn't have much time. Officers stood back, waiting for the bomb squad, but they didn't arrive in time. Just 25 minutes after the robbery, the bomb detonated. Brian was killed instantly. At first, police and the FBI believed Brian was just an innocent victim, forced to rob a bank at gunpoint, a pawn in a much larger game. But then things got weird. On Brian's body they found instructions, multiple pages detailed, cryptic, almost like a scavenger hunt. He was supposed to complete a series of tasks, each one unlocking the next clue, until he could finally remove the bomb. The bomb itself was homemade, complex, and terrifyingly real. It had multiple triggers. Whoever made it knew exactly what they were doing, and this wasn't random, it was planned. The investigation led them to Brian's home, his workplace, and eventually a strange group of people living in Erie, including a woman named Marjorie Deal Armstrong. Marjorie was intelligent. She once studied at Gannon University, but over time her life spiraled. Mental illness, crime, and obsession consumed her world. Marjorie had a history, a deeply disturbing one. Multiple ex-boyfriends had died under mysterious circumstances. She was once charged with murdering a partner, claiming self-defense. She was known to manipulate, to lie, to control, and it turns out she was at the center of the Pizza Bomber case. Marjorie wasn't alone. Another man entered the picture, Bill Rothstein, a former high school teacher, intelligent, articulate, and as it turns out, just as disturbed. In fact, Bill had called the police himself days after Brian's death. He said there was a body in his freezer, that of James Roden, Marjorie's boyfriend at the time. Marjorie had killed him. Bill helped hide the body. Why? Because she told him to, and Rothstein, he complied. Investigators now realized they were dealing with a group of people who lived on the fringes of society. Manipulators, conspirators, and potential murderers. And here's where the twist gets darker. Bill Rothstein was likely the mastermind behind the bomb. He had the skills, the knowledge, the access. But he died of cancer before he could be charged. In the end, Marjorie Deal Armstrong was charged with multiple federal crimes in the plot. Bank robbery using a weapon of mass destruction, and conspiracy to commit armed robbery. She was convicted in 2010 and sentenced to life in prison. She died of breast cancer in 2017. But the question still remains, was Brian Wells a victim or an accomplice? Investigators concluded that Brian had some knowledge of the plan. He thought it was a hoax. He thought the bomb wasn't real. He didn't know he was walking to his death. But the people around him, they knew, and they let it happen. And here's the twist that stunned even seasoned FBI agents. This case wasn't just about one bomb, or one robbery, or one murder. It was the result of an elaborate, calculated game of manipulation by people who thrived in chaos. Marjorie wanted money to pay someone to kill her own father. Rothstein wanted to help her, maybe because he still loved her. Brian thought he was part of a prank, but none of them knew that the line between joke and death was about to be crossed violently. If you thought this was one of the craziest true crime stories you've ever heard, you're not alone. Let me know in the comments, was Brian a victim, or did he help create his own fate? And if you want more stories like this, twisted, tragic, and totally true, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, because this is just one case, and trust me, there's more where that came from.